Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Kicking Tables. Today, we'd like to welcome Alyssa Barrett and Trevor Scott, the co-creators of Facility 7. Alyssa, Trevor, welcome to the show.
Hello.
It's good to have you on. So, tell us about Facility 7. It's coming to Kickstarter in September 15th. It's only a few weeks away. Tell us about your game.
Yeah, so Facility 7 is like a semi-cooperative game of exploration with a battle royale twist at the end. You start out, it's kind of like a spy style, retro-looking stuff. You're secret agents or iconic
action
heroes
Nice.
using iconic gadgets and items from different IPs that we really love, like Men in
like
Black.
the tactical turtleneck.
Archer is in there. It's very
That's a good
spy.
one.
So anything with the spy in it, it's kind of represented a little bit.
And what's the basis of how you play it? What's the quick and dirty of how this game plays through?
Well, you're exploring. You're building the game board different every time, always
Love
a
that
new
game
layout.
style.
There's like 2 million possible layouts.
Yeah, we did the math. It's 2
We
million.
did the math.
Wow.
He's big on data. And then after you explore, at first it's kind of an uneasy truce, but once the self-destruct sequence starts, then it's every agent for themselves. You gotta kind of kill each other.
Okay.
Maybe, you might have to.
Not necessary, but
Because your handler wants you to be the agent with the most data and alive.
Excellent.
Data is equal to victory points.
Now I have the most important question. What happened to Facilities 1 through 6?
Great question.
Professor Norwood. Professor Norwood is the evil genius in charge, and he's got like this clone army that he's building, and he's going to take over the world with it. And he names all of his facilities Facility 7. Every game that you play is canon. So that
Wow.
happened.
Wow.
He's
Excellent.
got a lot of facilities.
I guess. So the 2
And he doesn't
million
like to
facilities.
Exactly.
And they're all Facility 7. That's so it's a 2 to 6 player game. How different is the gameplay, and because it's co-op slash, everyone for themselves near the end? How different is it for 2 players versus 3 to 6?
2 players is a different sort of thing. There's a lot more emphasis on back and forth. You know who you're dealing with.
Right.
There's a lot of counters and stuff in this game, so you can kind of get a really good feel for who you're up against, and it's more, head-to-head, one-on-one,
Yeah.
back and forth counter cards sort of setup. Whereas when more people are involved, you don't have such a good. Yeah, you don't have such a fix on what's exactly happening and what the correct strategy is. So it's a little more wild with more people.
Yeah. But in a good way. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
All right, so your game boasts a playtime. Now, we've looked up in several different places, and we've seen 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and 45 minutes, up to 3 hours.
Board Game Geek is not updating, but
Okay.
it's about, you could do a half-hour game where it's 45 to 180 if you really wanted to. If you wanted to do 3 hours with 6 people, you definitely could.
So how is that timing? Like, is it the number of cards that you include in a starting pile, or how is that achieved to sort of set those times up?
Yeah, in the very beginning, you choose the amount of cards that the facility is gonna have, separate those, and you should answer it.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah. I mean, like she says, you build the room deck in the beginning of the game, and you can decide how long you want the game to be. It's about 12 minutes or so per card.
Okay.
That's what I was trying. I didn't know the numbers.
Yeah, that's with 4 players. That's kind of our base for testing. That's kind of the recommended is 4 players.
Okay. Now, can you go into a little bit more detail about the co-op versus the, elimination or the competitive side of things? Like you said, the first half of the game is semi-co-op. The last half is every man for himself. Can you explain the difference in this, and how does that play out?
I just want to say that we played last night, and you find yourself not wanting to you don't want to start what with somebody else before you have to, because
Okay.
they're definitely gonna try and get back at
Bench
you.
is
Yeah.
the-
Right.
Like you kind of in the beginning you could just start messing with people, but it kind of feels like you really should wait until you have to. Yeah, it's
Well, the rule is that you can't shoot each other or kill each other until the self-destruct has been activated. Because
Okay.
fictionally, you're working together. You're a bunch of different spies from competing agencies who may have bad blood. But it's so important that we destroy Facility 7 that you're setting it all aside. No one's allowed to fight each other with guns or fists until the self-destruct is set. After that, the threat is neutralized. It's time to get data and get out. And if none of the other agents made it home, that'd be okay.
Because the mission has been accomplished.
Exactly.
So you're
and prior to that, you can kill guards, you can still do some offensive stuff. Like if somebody has gotten data before the self-destruct has started from a card, a rare occasion, then you could steal that. But it mostly is all wild.
No player elimination until the self-destruct is gone.
Okay.
now
So you can mess with people and sabotage and stuff ahead of time. So I know that I'm always going to be the target immediately. This happens in these games every time. Immediately, like right off, like the first person's going to play a card against me. I know that's going to happen. So I probably have to start planning for that right away.
That's 'cause
But
you're so
that's
good.
what it is. It's sort of setting yourself up to retaliate and to plan for when that happens.
Yeah, and that's what the beginning of the game is. One, it's setting up the facility. It's creating the game board. You can see where all the connection nodes are, which are special rooms that allow you to get data. So those are kind of targets in everyone's mind. I need to try and get to as many of those as I can. And you're also picking up cards and trying to set yourself up with a lot of good gadgets. A nice covert card, which is like our trap card with a trigger. Flip it over to screw someone over if they're trying to screw you over first. So you end up, by the time that the mainframe is found and hacked and the self-destruct is initiated, you are generally pretty well stocked, and you have a good sense of who everyone is. You know who you can trust, who you can't, and it's time to get dirty.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Not the trust part.
So the facility layout is randomized each time with the cards that you sort of are that come out. Is that sort of predetermined which cards are going to be in your sort of starting deck, or is it just like you randomly deal off like here's our 20 cards that are going to make up the facility, and you have no idea what's going to come up?
There are connection nodes every time that are separated. From the entrance and the connection nodes are separated. The prison will almost always get put on the board. Last night we almost didn't get it put there. But do you count the prison as one of the cards?
No. The prison is kind of extra. Okay. So you set that out at the beginning of the game until someone gets sent to prison, and then you'll stick it wherever it should go on the game board. But yeah, so it's always different.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. I saw that you also have it's very flexible to accepting new game variants and new rule sets and stuff like that. Will you guys be supporting the game sort of as it goes with official gameplay variants?
Oh yes. I mean, we are putting in wildcards throughout the game. Here I have one I can hold up. So there's a lot of wildcards, and the wildcards allow you to do interesting things. Like here's a wildcard that's an action card. There it is. And on the back, it just looks like a regular ops card, of which there are like 120 or something. So for each individual game variant, you will be able to swap in certain rules. If you get this card, this is what it does in this game variant. Okay. And each game variant would be obviously available to each of the players, so they can reference it on their phone or whatever. Or if they want to print it out, hey, go for it. But we'll be releasing game variants. We'll have a couple in the rule book. The first one that we're going to be streaming is Shark Attack, where the whole facility is underwater. The guards are sharks, and there's
with laser beams.
Rules. Yeah, I mean
sharks with frickin' laser beams.
Yeah. So the custom game types that we will provide are awesome, but you can make your own, and we really encourage that.
That's one of the big things that we've always said is we want people to make it their own, and it's so cool when you can totally play it straight up mechanically, but it's really cool when role play starts to shine through because you're playing as these action heroes, and
Right.
it's always a new story.
Yeah.
Now, Facility 7 has a very unique aspect to it, a very unique art style as well. I love the art style. Tico described it earlier as like the opening to the TV show Chuck.
Sure.
Which
Yeah.
it kind of does, What was the inspiration behind the whole game and the look of it? What
can tell you
gave you this
exactly
idea?
I wanted to. Well, there's two things. I wanted to use art assets that wouldn't cost me anything.
Fair.
Good call.
So that because it's our first creation, and we wanted to make it easy, right? So the Noun Project, I want to plug them. They've got icons for everything, and if you subscribe to it, you can do anything you want with them.
Nice.
The Noun Project is awesome. But beyond just the desire to get free art, I also I wanted it to be similar to the old spy movies. The poster for Dr. No. There's this one poster. It's orange. There's like a hand reaching down, a big black hand. And if you look at that and you look at the game box, you'll say, well, there it is.
Yeah, definitely.
That's nice. That's awesome. Yes. So you wanted a spy thriller and free art.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I still had to do hours and
the
hours and hours of layout and all that, but at least we didn't have to, make all the icons ourselves.
So I love to get a little bit of behind the scenes look at games, and especially with the development of games. So as you were creating this game and developing it, what did you find was the hardest thing to get right?
Yeah, I would say being dazed. Because during the game, you're either kind of acting normally or you are dazed. And if you're dazed, you're kind of in the current iteration, and I think this is the most play-tested and most solid iteration. When you're dazed, you lose the ability to move as fast. You're kind of vulnerable to other cards. Some cards affect only dazed agents. And you can go to jail pretty easily. If a guard comes into your room, you're going to jail if you're dazed.
Okay.
Back in the day, there were a lot more restrictions. Being dazed really sucked.
Okay.
And it was the number one thing that people were not happy with when we play tested.
Yeah, it feels so much more fun now. Like every game is seamless, where like at Dice Tower Con, I remember just like a whole dazed turn felt like an eternity because there were more restrictions and it lasted longer.
Now, can you daze one of your competitors?
Mm-hmm.
That's
awesome.
Oh, that's what you do. Okay.
All the best cards are when someone is dazed.
Because once you're dazed, you can have cards stolen from your hand. You can have gadgets stolen from you. You can have data stolen from you. You can be sent to prison. I mean, it's rough.
Okay, so a follow-up question to all of your playtesting from each of you: what is one of your most memorable things to happen in the game?
Sure.
Oh, I know mine. Dice Tower Con, we just had the most hilarious playtester. He was so fun, and his positivity was great, but he kept getting so mad at Big Mike, one of the guards, and they just had like the biggest beef. We have video footage of it because it was so good. Trevor was like, I know we'll want this one day.
Well, we named him Big Mike because of that. It was emergent. So there was a guard. He sent 4 players to prison, one after another. Everyone failed their attack rolls against him.
Oh, wow.
And they went to prison. And so we have a picture of 4 people just sitting in prison. It had never happened before. Mm-hmm. And so we actually added him into the game as there's an event card that can spawn Big Mike, and he's got a little special ability. So I was actually the one that I was going to say also. I was like, if I'm picking a different thing, I would say it's something that happens every so often. You'll get a really long chain of counters. Mm-hmm. There's cards that counter cards that counter cards, and I think our longest chain is 4.
Okay.
And 5 maybe, yeah. But it's always so much fun when you say, I'm doing this, and then someone says, actually, how about that? And then someone else says, not so fast. Here's my thing. And then the first person comes back and says, well, if all that's happening, here's a card that I've been waiting to play. And it's a lot of fun.
That is awesome. So the Kickstarter starts September 15th. Must be very exciting to finally be. That's just on the horizon. It's coming up fast.
It is. Yeah.
What can we expect? Stretch goals? Do you have any? You want to talk about any of your stretch goals, or do you want to keep it as a surprise?
There's one that
Yeah.
I'm really interested in and excited about. We want to get personal player boards made up with just like 3 cards wide, 2 rows of 3 cards, because that's all you need to play. And I think it would be very helpful to people to see exactly how it is supposed to be laid out. You've got your agent identity card in the middle, your top secret objective card on one side, you've got your face down covert card next to that, and then under that you've got 3 gadgets. You can have a maximum of 3 gadgets equipped.
Unless you're Investigator Gizmo, then you
Yes.
can have a lot of gadgets.
Investigator Gizmo. He's got up to 8, I think.
I wonder
Yeah.
who that's based on. Hmm.
He's one of our favorites. Yeah.
That is awesome. So it sounds amazing. I wish you guys all the best on Kickstarter, and let's everybody get out there and back Facility 7. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I love any kind of game where you build the board as you play. I'm a huge fan of that kind of mechanic. Yeah. And is there anything before we let you go that you feel that everyone needs to know about this game?
Oh man.
You think about it. I'll just say the first thing that came in.
Man, I just think that you should know that I've been working on this thing for 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Off and on. Ever since I moved to New Orleans, actually,
Wow.
I started really getting into board gaming, and I started because I wanted a game that was mine. And then, years go by, and I forget about it for a little bit, and then I meet someone else, and I move, and blah, blah, blah. But off and on, it's really been happening. The last 2 years, though, have been ramping up. So we have done a lot of play testing. It's good, and we're really proud of it.
So your message is
Most
don't
evolved
give up
form.
on that dream. If you have a game in mind, don't give up on it. I think that's what you're trying to say.
It takes 8 years. You'll get a
You
Kickstarter.
took it out,
Keep going.
Awesome.
Totally.
Alyssa, Trevor, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and good luck with your campaign.
You guys so much. This
too.
was a lot of fun.
As this shocking video footage shows, he is creating an army of clones, and he's making them fast. We count 200 in the footage, but there could be 1 million more on the way for all we know. Our intelligence says if he isn't stopped now, he'll become unstoppable, and then I'm afraid there'll be no stopping him.